The Toolbox Killers. A van, a smile, and a nightmare. In the late 1970s, the sun still smiled over Southern California. Beaches were filled with roller skaters and transistor radios. Teens lined up at record stores, and suburban homes baked in a golden haze. But behind the sunshine, something moved. Something with wheels, metal, and eyes that didn't blink. A silver 1977 GMC cargo van. No windows in the back. No plates most days. It cruised up and down the Pacific Coast Highway like a shark. Silent, slow, looking. Inside were two men, Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris. They looked like someone's uncles. One wore glasses and rarely raised his voice. The other smiled too easily, laughed too loud. They had met in prison, bonded over violence, shared fantasies. They weren't just predators. They were planning something they called a project. Their dream was simple: kidnap, torture, and kill one girl of every teenage age, 13 through 19. And they had the tools to do it. Not guns, not knives, but pliers, ice picks, sledgehammers, and a tape recorder. They kept their tools in a dented gray metal box. They called themselves the Toolbox Killers. It began on a normal day, June 24th, 1979. Lucinda Lynn Schaefer, age 16, vanished while walking home from a church youth meeting in Torrance, California. She was quiet, smart, didn't cause trouble, no drugs, no rebellion, just a girl walking home in the summer heat. A van slowed down beside her. No one saw what happened next, but we know what Bittaker and Norris later confessed. They offered her a ride. When she declined, Bittaker pulled out a rag soaked in chemicals. She struggled, fought, screamed. No one heard her. By the time the van's sliding door closed, Lucinda was gone. They drove her into the mountains, tied her up, gagged her, and took turns. Then, they debated what to do. Norris said she should be released. Bittaker disagreed. He never planned to let anyone go. They strangled her with a coat hanger tightened with pliers. She was the first. They buried her body in the San Gabriel Mountains. No grave marker. Just a pile of dirt beneath pine needles and silence. A beautiful place. A terrible grave. Some hikers walk those trails today and don't know they're stepping over bones. 2 weeks later, they were back. Andrea Hall, age 18. She was hitchhiking along the Pacific Coast Highway. A second van pulled up first. She declined. Then came the silver GMC. She never got out. This time, they recorded her. They wanted to capture the fear, the begging. On tape, you can hear her sobbing, asking why. You can hear Bittaker's voice, calm and instructional, cold, almost casual. The tape was never made public. Even veteran FBI agents who heard it said it was the worst recording they'd ever experienced. She was tortured for hours. Then Bittaker stabbed her with an ice pick into both ears. They kept souvenirs, jewelry, clothing, even locks of hair. They shared them like trophies. No remorse. Just memories. By September, the van had become a mobile chamber of horror. 17-year-old Jackie Gilliam and 15-year-old Leah Lamp were sitting at a bus stop. They accepted a ride. Inside, they noticed the windows were blacked out. The doors had no handles. Jackie became suspicious. She asked to be let out. Norris hit her with a bag of lead weights, knocked her unconscious. The girls were tied up with duct tape for 2 days. 2 full days. The van was parked in a remote spot. They were raped, tortured, and recorded. Jackie tried to talk to Bittaker. She begged, asked about his family, asked him to stop. He responded with an ice pick, then a sledgehammer. He crushed her skull, not once, not twice, 7 times. Then he strangled Leah. Their bodies were tossed into the mountains, thrown away like trash, buried under leaves and dirt. No one would find them for months, and when they were found, it wasn't by the police. It was animals. Their final known victim was Shirley Lynette Ledford, age 16, Halloween night, 1979. She'd just finished her shift at a restaurant, accepted a ride home. The van was waiting. They had built a ritual by now. The tape recorder was ready. But this time, they didn't bother driving to the mountains. They did it all right there in the van, in a residential neighborhood. Neighbors heard something, faint thuds, a high-pitched scream, but no one called the police. Shirley was beaten with a hammer. Her elbows were crushed with pliers. Her face was swollen beyond recognition. The tape captured her cries, her screams, and the sound of Norris laughing. The sounds weren't just disturbing. They were unnatural. A kind of human suffering that didn't sound human at all. When they were done, they dumped her body on a random lawn, like garbage. Someone found her early the next morning. And that was their mistake. Because this time, the body was left behind. A face, a name, a starting point. And from that, the whole sick story began to unravel. The media exploded. Southern California had seen its share of killers. But this was different. This wasn't about sex or money or revenge. This was about pain, about turning suffering into a game. The press called them monsters, but they didn't know who they were. Until a man came forward. He was in jail for unrelated charges, and he had a story to tell. His name was Joseph Jackson. He said Roy Norris had bragged to him, told him everything, the girls, the tools, the tapes. Jackson thought it was a sick fantasy, until he heard about Shirley Ledford. The details matched. He contacted the police. Detectives knew they had to act fast. On November 20th, 1979, less than a month after Shirley's murder, Norris was arrested. They found him eating alone at a diner, calm, relaxed, as if nothing had ever happened. Norris cracked fast. He confessed, gave names, details, locations, led police into the mountains where remains were found. Then came the tapes. Horror in stereo. Bittaker didn't confess. He laughed, mocked investigators, said things like, "You think that's all I did?" He represented himself in court, smiled through the trial, tried to intimidate witnesses, laughed when the tapes played. The jury took just over an hour to sentence him to death, a death he would never see. He remained on death row for decades. They said he enjoyed death row, read horror novels, wrote letters to fans, even gave interviews. He never stopped smiling. Norris made a deal. Life in prison in exchange for testimony. He died in 2020. Bittaker died the year before, awaiting execution. Neither man expressed remorse. To this day, only a handful of people have ever heard the tapes. Many broke down. Some retired early. They said it changed them. One FBI agent said, "It was like listening to hell." No one has requested to unseal the tapes again, and perhaps no one ever should. There are things better left buried. They were called the Toolbox killers because of the items they used. But it's more than that. A toolbox is something you keep close, something you open when you want to fix something. Bittaker and Norris opened theirs to destroy. Each item had a purpose. Each victim was a part of their design. The van? It was never recovered. Some believe it was scrapped. Others think Bittaker had it hidden. But maybe it's still out there. Silver. Silent. Waiting. Driving through the fog. Passing girls on sidewalks. Just like before. Just like then. The scariest thing about monsters is that they don't look like monsters. They look like neighbors. They offer rides. They wear smiles. And sometimes they carry a toolbox. A box that opens slowly, quietly, and once it's open, it never really closes.